I've heard rumors of your beauty. For once, the gossips were right. Welcome.
Thank you, good king.
Yes, I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. You thought I went away, and come to think of it, so did I. But we've got to address the elephant in the room that is the casting, or should I be the miscasting, of Helen of Troy in Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. Now, to be honest, am I hyped for this film? I would say for the first time in many years when it comes to a Chris Nolan movie, no, I'm not. But I've got a theory about why Nolan has gone in this very strange direction, because he's got people like Travis Scott, a black dude in ancient Greece, preaching to John Bernthal and Tom Holland, and a star-studded cast. I don't know, and I do care, because to be honest, if I was going into this film blind, not knowing a thing, and I'm suddenly told, well, first of all, it's going to be a retelling of Homer's The Odyssey, but then when I'm sat then in the audience with my popcorn, shoveling it in my mouth, and I see a brother from another mother preaching to other people in the pulpit, I'll be thinking to myself, do you know what? This is kind of taking me out of the experience, and that's the whole point about my little video today. The reason why you see these deliberate castings all over the place, it's just to get you to accept that this is the way forward. But as we know, folks, we are the customers. We pay for things with our money. And if we don't like something that we fundamentally don't agree with, then we just go somewhere else. Has Hollywood learned that lesson yet? I don't think so. So without further ado, folks, if you end up enjoying this video today, make sure you give it a like below, smash that subscribe button, and let's hear what His Royal Highness John Campea has to say about this, because boy oh boy, he went on a rant. But to be honest, I won't be using too much of Jono, just little clips here and there, because I want to offer you my verbal input. Of course, that's why you came to my video today, you flock of sheep.
Are you telling me that you are not...
Yeah, I'm not a woman.
White? Oh, the deception!
The name's Nukem. Duke Nukem. No, I'm not here to kick ass or chew bubblegum. I'm not here to get even with those alien bastards for shooting up my ride either. I'm here to tell you to watch Jason King on Kung Fu Hot Dog. So watch out for him. And his babes of the 1980s. Oh, and one more thing. Hail to the king, baby.
Christopher Nolan has lost his integrity. Why would he say that Christopher Nolan has lost integrity, as they would say on South Park? Well, because he had the audacity to cast Lupita Nyong'o as a beautiful woman.
Again, that's subjective, because to my eyes, Lupita Nyong'o is fine. Would I walk past her in the street? Of course I would, because she's not the kind of gal I go for.
That's the problem. This comes to us from the folks at The Independent who wrote this. In response, a user on Musk's platform X wrote, Helen of Troy, who's going to be played by Lupita Nyong'o, was fair-skinned, blonde, and the face that launched 1,000 ships, because she was so beautiful that men started a war over her.
And Lupita Nyong'o's case, she'd be the face that sinks 1,000 ships.
I will fight you in the streets over Lupita Nyong'o. I'm just going to throw that out there right now. Casting choices that make the...
Yeah, John Campea comes up with these very strange things like, yeah, I'm going to fight you in the streets for her. John, I've got news for you, buddy. No one's going to be standing in your way if you want Lupita Nyong'o all for yourself. Although you are a married man, so you should be really content with the wife that you have, or maybe you're drifting away, to quote Doobie Gray, because you want to make things out of clay and sit by the bay. Hey, I don't know. I mean, this is almost reminiscent of when John Campea had a hissy fit about Thandie Newton's daughter what's her name again? Parker Knowles or Casey Parker. Oh, I don't really care, to be honest, because she hasn't a shred of acting talent like her mum once had. But you remember when he was like going on that rant about, oh, so you're taking this Viking Nordic epic and you're going to cast somebody who's not natively of that ethnic race, shall we say, and he went into one, and he's kind of doing that here again, but he's just doing it in a more, I suppose, sometimes a clever way, sometimes
The
it's
premise
not.
incoherent. If the pigmentation of her skin is a little bit darker than what Astrid's is in the cartoon, height, not a problem. Eye color, not a problem. Hand, not a problem. Oh, tone of her skin, that's a problem. The immense hypocrisy of people who would complain about that because, well, the guy they cast to play Snape doesn't match the description in the book. To which I'd say, okay, numbnuts, did you like Alan Rickman as Snape? Oh, Alan Rickman was awesome as Snape. Well, you do realize Alan Rickman was several decades, not several years, several decades older than the way he's described in the book. So how come you're all clutching your panties over the fact that, oh, the color palette of his skin,
I don't think the age has anything to do with an interpretation of a character on the big or small screen. So to me, that actually makes no sense that John is saying here. But do you know what? Something that John says later on in this kind of makes sense, but I want to add my 2 pennies worth, because again, what he says here is that what Nolan has done is to offer something that's his interpretation. So again, Nolan is one of these guys, he's in love with old movies from years gone by, things like Spartacus, Prince of the City, Treat Williams. That's probably not the best example to use, but he likes these big sweeping, grandiose type of movies like David Lean used to make back in the day, like Lawrence of Arabia. I think the Odyssey is Chris Nolan's Lawrence of Arabia. I think it's that basically. And he's assembled a very peculiar cast of reprobates. I mean, you're talking about Ellen Page. I'm going to address her by that birth name because after all, that's how she was born. But under that particular disguise, shall we say, I think she'll end up being the Cyclops in this film, to which we've not actually seen that yet. I don't think that image is actually going to leak. That's going to be a surprise for the audience when they go to watch this film. And then you have other members of the cast. I think I like these guys like John Bernthal and Tom Holland, but I don't necessarily see them as Greek warriors. Do you know what I mean? But then again, you could argue that with Zack Snyder's 300, did we buy into Gerard Butler being a Greek warrior? Actually, I would say not quite, but you bought him as a badass and you didn't care afterwards whether he was meant to be playing an historically Greek person or not. So what I like to say about this is basically this point, is that if you're going to pay homage or tell something that's not historically accurate, then call it a parody, because that's what it is. Christopher Nolan has made the cleverest parody film ever, because you're casting people that you will think, hang on a second, is this some kind of a joke, dude?
Invisible Girl?
Apparently not invisible enough.
Well, if you knew how to take care of your man, maybe this wouldn't have happened.
No, she didn't.
You don't say no disrespect.
On the other side, this could be like the DEI model. They'll teach kids at school that, hey, it's okay to see yourself being represented if you look like this, but you don't fit in with the entire background, if you know what I mean. It is absolutely strange. And again, all this fuss about Lupita Nyong'o, and fair enough, when you go on IMDb and you look at her name, like, who is she playing? And it's very funny as well, because when Troy came out, I think that was 2004 with Brad Pitt and Eric Bana, there's a lot of pressure on Diane Kruger. She was going to play the most beautiful woman like ever known, and so much pressure was on her to bring that to life. And people kind of came away thinking, yeah, Diane Kruger for me is like one of my favorite actresses ever. I think she's great. She's got a great personality. Yeah, she's hooked up with Norman Reedus. Good for her for doing that. I'm lucky him for nabbing her as well. But it's really funny. Why bring up her name? Because she and Lupita Nyong'o star together in that god-awful 355 with Jessica Chastain. So it makes you wonder, at the time of Lupita said, hey, you know what, white girl with the blonde hair and the blue eyes, I'm going to kidnap one of your roles one of these days. And it looks like the tables have turned. But what do you think, folks? Is this a case of the backlash and it's going to hit Nolan hard in the pockets of this film? Does Universal know something? They're the distributors, of course, and not Warner Brothers. Do they know something that we don't? It's very hard to tell, isn't it? And I'm going to see how this does in the box office. I don't think I'm going to go and watch it because, like I said, I don't want to be taken out of the experience. But I do think as well that I wonder if there's going to be like something on the press tour where they ask people, they ask John Bernthal or Christopher Nolan these type of questions. Are they going to dodge them? Are they going to answer them with ferocity and put silly reporter questions down? I think that's going to happen, and that might make or break the reception of the movie they call the Odyssey, not to be confused with the disco group of the 80s who asked you to turn it up and shake it all down. And on that one, folks, if I were you and if you were me, I'll catch you catching me for the return of the next video.
But first, I must teach you the secret to becoming a superhero. Hey, Storm, you look like you're putting on a little weight.
I'm a boringly heterosexual straight guy, but man, if she was a dude, I'd go gay.
Kung Fu Hot Dog takes his drinks like his women, white with a touch of danger.